Okay, here we are. We're off. Start of the road trip, going up to Connecticut. Lovely, lovely day. Nice, bright blue skies, sunshine. Couldn't wish for more. Hopefully it stays like that for the next couple of days. And we'll see what happens. So I actually decided to go to supercharger station in Brewster, New York on the way. So it's one of the first in the country that has the new Tesla Magic Dock, which allows non-Teslas CCS charging cars to use superchargers. It's quite a big deal in the EV world, and it's quite a nondescript supercharger station. I think it's just got a Dunkin' Donuts about the only amenity nearby, but it's become one of the more famous superchargers in the last few weeks because every EV enthusiast and YouTuber and tech journalist has been going there to check out these new Magic Docks. So it's quite amusing, really. Some of the YouTubers I follow were there at the same time. They bumped into each other, so they were in each other's videos. So it just shows you the interest in opening up Tesla supercharger stations to other brands of EV. It's a big deal, actually, because one of the problems with EV adoption, which is what everybody wants, you know, more widespread and quicker adoption of electric vehicles for everyone. One of the big challenges is that, as most people are aware, in North America you've got two standards really for charging. There's three standards. There's an older Japanese standard called CHAdeMO, which is being phased out. It's used by Nissan Leafs and some Outlander plug-in hybrids, things like that, use them, but they max out at 50 kilowatt charging in the US, and they're not, no new cars being brought onto market using CHAdeMO in North America. It's still popular in Japan. It allows for two-way vehicle to grid and stuff like that, so some interesting technology, and they do have higher charging speeds over there using CHAdeMO. But in the US you can mainly say that's been phased out in favor of two standards. Tesla developed their own proprietary standard, Tesla Plug, which they now call the North American Charging Standard, NACS. And it's a very elegant solution. It allows for AC and DC charging all in one sort of compact unit. The alternative, and which is sort of the de facto standard for all non-Teslas, is combined charging standard, or CCS, CCS1 in the US, and it's a big chunky sort of connector, but that's what Mach-E's will use, Ford Mach-E's, ID4s, Volkswagens. Really any new EV that's not a Tesla coming to market is using CCS. So whereas Tesla have a huge benefit in that they started rolling out their supercharger network about 10 years ago more, and they're very, very well distributed around the country. Lots of stands installed, lots of locations on major highways, everywhere really. You're not too far from a Tesla supercharger, and the important thing is that they're very reliable. The uptime and the once you plug in, you can be almost guaranteed that it'll give you a good charge, it'll work, and that's what you need when you're on road trips. You really are relying on that, because obviously you roll up near empty and your battery and a supercharger doesn't work, you're really so out of luck. For non-Teslas it's a different, and also the Tesla's very easy because they own the car, the software, the supercharger network, everything is integrated. I just it knows the VIN number of my car, the system has my credit card on file, so I just have to park at a supercharger station and just plug in, and that's it. It just starts charging, and off you go. With non-Teslas, it's a very different scenario. You basically have a series of companies that run their own networks. The biggest is probably Electrify America. Electrify America is set up by Volkswagen as basically a punishment or penance for the Dieselgate scandal. That was part of their punishment, that they had to pay or install fast charging stations and pay for rolling those out, and they set up a company called Electrify America, and they are the ones that are most heavily used. Having said that, they have a number of locations, but the problem is at each location you might only have 4 or 6 units, as opposed to with Tesla you could have like 8, 10, 20. It's just a lot more. And also the reliability of these non-Tesla EV stations or charging units is notoriously bad. Doesn't seem to be a lot of incentive to keep the uptime up, so there's a lot, you'll see online, a lot of horror stories about people who are arriving at stations, only maybe 1 or 2 work out of 4 or 6, or maybe none of them, or else they charge very slowly, or just one thing after another. So we have now very capable cars coming onto market from all the major manufacturers. There's really, Kia and Hyundai have great cars, Ford with the Mach-E is a good car, Volkswagen with the ID4, very popular car as well. All sorts of great non-Tesla alternatives, and the cars are great. The charging infrastructure is the weak link there, and there's a huge number of people who have bought Teslas not because they particularly like Teslas or they're particularly interested in the car, but they do road trip, and they know that they've heard that if you do it with a Tesla you just don't have any problems, whereas with other cars their chances are most of the time you'll probably get a charge, hopefully, fingers crossed, but you just don't have that, you just can't guarantee it, and you just don't have that confidence in the system. So Tesla opening up their supercharger network to non-Teslas, and they only just started a small number of units, but obviously they'll roll it out. In all honesty, probably to qualify for a lot of the new federal money as part of the Biden administration's infrastructure and Inflation Reduction Act, all of these, the incentives and so on. There's billions of dollars of grants available for EV companies to roll out new fast charging units all across the US, which is great. But of course, one of the stipulations is that it has to be not just tied to one manufacturer, one brand of car, and that's really why Tesla are opening it up. They've already done this in Europe for some time. It's an easier situation in Europe because they use CCS2 over there, all the cars, so Tesla's included. So it's the same plug used. So really, all you have to do is just turn on that feature, and the non-Teslas can just plug into the same cable. So here they've had what just seems to be quite an elegant solution, seems to be one that works quite well. The only additional thing that slight hassle for a non-Tesla user is that they have to use the Tesla app, select non-Tesla charging, select the station, select the stall that they're at on the screen, and then it disconnects the magic dock with it comes with the cable, and then they plug in. So it's not particularly, and finally it's the time to actually start charging is quite quick, 10-15 seconds. Okay, just checking in again, just coming up to Philadelphia. I'll be stopping at a supercharger and grabbing something to eat in about 20 now, so maybe in about 20 minutes. Yeah, pretty uneventful. Not much traffic. Well, busy enough through Baltimore as usual, and the usual suspect places, but autopilot in the car makes it very, very easy. You just can relax, and you obviously have to keep paying attention to everything, but it certainly helps with these road trips. You're just more refreshed when you end up at the other side. Yeah, just enjoying some music, catching up some podcasts, and just enjoying the nice day. So hopefully it's pretty uneventful. So the plan is, just a free day today really, and catching up with people, some friends of mine this evening. But the main focus is tomorrow morning. The graduation ceremony at the Connecticut State Police is at 10:30, so lasts for about an hour. So hopefully be good to see Quaid again. Want to remember me. See how his training has gone on. I'm really looking forward to seeing that actually. So
Yeah.
Okay, just checking in again. First charging session coming up soon, just outside Philadelphia. I could have gone further, of course, if I had charged to 100% at home, but as I set off with about 70%, I have to stop a little earlier. So stopping in about 5 minutes. And what the battery is doing now is it goes, it's preconditioning, so it heats up, or gets the temperature of the battery at the optimal temperature to receive the most power in the shortest amount of time. So this is one of the benefits of using the built-in satellite navigation GPS software in the Tesla. You just works out where the optimal charging stations are. It tends to be a little bit on the conservative side. I know people, it depends how really comfortable you are running down to a low percentage, low state of charge. Some people don't like to get much below 20-15%. Sometimes people go around into the really low single digits. You're just confident that the car can handle it, and it's just whatever you're comfortable with. You get to know your car, and the charging stations are reliable enough that you can run them out a bit lower. Some other networks, it's better to leave a good enough buffer so that if a charging station isn't working, you've got enough, obviously, battery capacity to come back and try a different one if it's close by. So it's just different strategies and so on. But for me, I'm just going to go down till about, I think I'll arrive there with about 15, so could go a lot lower, but I'll just get charged up to about 80 and then just be on the way, and then gives me a chance to grab something to eat and use the restroom and everything. So it's good. So just outside Philly, Bristol supercharger, and hopefully it'll be pretty uneventful and pretty quick. It's the 250s. I'll have a version 3 charge